Hey, what's up guys? Gian here of Gadget Pilipinas. Welcome back dito sa ating channel. At ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon is all about camera bumps. Whether you like it or not, guys, camera bumps, they're here to stay. And it's going to be the norm in the next few years. Unless there's a new technology that actually would squeeze or, paliitin yung sizes ng sensors. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the sizes of the camera bumps. We don't normally do this. We're going to share with you the camera bump sizes of the smartphones that we're using and we've reviewed in the past. At ganun din, share with you as well the thoughts of our followers about the phones that they've been using with camera bumps. Now, for those of you who are currently watching right now, I would love to know your thoughts as well in the comment section down below. Just write them down. And if you're new to the channel, I would love it if you can subscribe to Gadget Pilipinas and also like us on Facebook at Gadget Pilipinas, facebook.com/Gadget Pilipinas. By the way, guys, we're going to have a giveaway pretty soon. We're going to give away a Realme 6 Pro. And all we need to do is to rally up and help us reach 50,000 subscribers for the month of July. Now, at this point, I'm going to give you guys the sizes of the camera bumps of the smartphones we've been using. And we'll start off with the iPhone 6. The iPhone 6 is one of the best phones that they released in the past. And this one has 0.68mm camera bump. It's not too thick. But by today's standards, there are some phones right now, this is considered to be very, very thin in terms of the sizes of camera bump. Several years later, they released the iPhone 7 Plus, and this one has 1.85mm based on our measuring tool, which we actually bought via Lazada. It's pretty accurate. You can go check out the link in the description down below if you want to do it, your own, if you want to measure the thickness or thinness of camera bumps or whatever, sa mga gadgets ninyo. Now, the next phone is something that I still keep. And for those of you who actually bought this phone, it is actually one of the best phones that was released way back 2014, 2015. Now, this is positioned to be really a smartphone camera. And people didn't think of the bump at this time, but they thought about this one, yung design of the camera. And measuring this up, this was about 0.54 in terms of the bump. Something that you wouldn't really notice because it's not actually a camera bump, but it's the design. What we have right here naman is the R17 Pro from Oppo. This was about 2 years ago, if I'm mistaken. This is measuring about 1.41mm, and it's considered to be one of the thickest at the time in terms of the camera bumps. Next on the list is something that was actually announced a few years ago, or a few months ago rather, and this is the Huawei Mate 30 Pro 5G, and this one really has very, very thin camera bump despite having really good smartphone or camera performance. This one only measures about 0.45mm from the base. The next one, which is actually we unboxed a few months ago, and this is the Redmi Note 9S, and this one has a 2.55mm camera bump. Medyo makapal, no? But still, nevertheless, this one really has good camera performance. That's something that we would love to talk about more pretty soon. Next on the list is the Huawei Nova 7. This one only has about 1.61mm. We have a review of this on our website at gadgetpilipinas.net. You can go and check out as well the sample photos that we took. Really good camera, bang for the buck. And we just hope that they could have probably brought the price lower. Still, again, in terms of the camera bump, it's 1.61. This is another one, which is the realme XT. This one has a 1.88mm camera bump. And we have the Realme 6 Pro, which has 1.73mm. Now, next on the list is one of my personal favorites, and this is the Galaxy Note Plus. And this measures, the camera bump rather, measures about 0.56mm. At, syempre, hindi naman controversial, pero isa sa mga pinakakilala, may pinaka-thick na camera bump is the Galaxy S20 Ultra, which has 3. Actually, sa lahat ng mga nandito, ito yung may pinaka-thick na camera bump. Okay? 3. And another one which has a 60x zoom and was announced a few days ago, or weeks ago rather, by Realme. And this is the Realme X3 Super Zoom. And this one has 1.82mm camera bump based on our measuring tool. We have also the Huawei P40 Pro 5G, and this one has a 2.25 millimeter camera bump. And if you contrast that with the Huawei P40 Pro Plus, this one's a little thicker because this can go up to 100 times zoom. It has telephoto lens, and if you shake it a bit, you can hear that there is also stabilization on board. Vivo V19 Neo is something that is actually known to have very, very slim, or thin rather, na camera bump. This one has a 1.03 only, despite the raw camera performance, or specs rather, that this one has. And syempre, this one barely doesn't have any camera bump at all. This is the Asus ROG Phone 2, and despite having really good camera performance, in fact, the Zenfone 6 specs nilagay nila dito eh. And despite that, wala siya halos na camera bump, only at 0.25 millimeter. Okay, barely 0.3. Well, this one's actually not in the list. I don't want to include it because this one doesn't have a camera bump technically, because they actually hid it sa may kung saan nandoon yung switch ng telepono. So you will not notice any camera bumps, but rather it's housed here in this particular strip. So we're not including this, but nevertheless it's good to note because different design, different implementation also of the camera. There are actually three things I would like to discuss when talking about camera bumps. Bakit kailangan ng may camera bumps? The first one is, of course, build. The second one is cost and benefit ratio. And last but not the least, we have technology limitation. But before I get into that, let me share with you some of the things that our readers and commenters have actually shared in the past few hours before we produce this video. Now, sinabi dito ni one of our followers, sabi ni John Paul Figueroa, via Facebook. Sabi niya, iPhone 6 user daw siya, medyo maliit lang yung camera ng phone and okay lang naman siya. Hindi siya masyado umuuga pag nasa flat surface, lalo na pag may case na yung phone. Okay. And I said, of course, yun sakto, may iPhone 6 kami dito, which is this one, and we know the experience. And we said that we'll be including this in the video. And the next one is Richard Ranas. No? Richard said, Realme 6i user here. Nakakairita kung nakapatong sa flat surface kahit naka-jelly case. Tapos nakakabahala din minsan kasi nakakaskas yung mismong camera, kaya mas maganda ginagamitan ng makapal na casing para maayos pag nilalapag at hindi magasgasan ang camera. Actually, even added na minsan nakakaskas din kahit makapal ang casing, kaya matinding pag-iingat na lang po talaga ang kailangan. Very good thought. One of my friends, and he also has a site, you can go check it out, Kevin Evangelista. His comment is, I am so annoyed with the camera bump. I am part of #TeamNoCase or #TeamNaked because I like to appreciate the industrial design that went into making phones. But because of the camera bump, I'm forced to put a case on. Not just to protect the camera lens or housing, but also to protect my wooden tables, the inside cloth of my pockets, and since I usually dual-wield phones, that's a very nice term to use on a phone, the other phone in my pocket. The ROG Phone 2 is a good example of just put in a bigger battery to make it thicker solution. Nobody had any problems with the ROG Phone 2 being a thick boy. Okay? In fact, we love its 6,000 mAh battery. In turn, it barely had any camera bump, and since it's made to be gripped in landscape mode, having a thick camera bump that interrupts the grip while gaming is a very detrimental to ergonomics. So please, no camera bump. I'm looking at you, Note 20. Okay, and next one, we have another comment from France. He said, S20 Ultra and iPhone 11 have annoying bumps. May bump pa din S20 Ultra kahit naka-case. Okay, very interesting thoughts from some of our readers and comments. Oh, by the way, meron pa pala, no? Before I forget, meron din nag-comment sa atin from YouTube. And it's actually Daniel Karumba. And he said, I'm currently using Realme 6 Pro and I'm very satisfied. And even though not an AMOLED display, camera and gaming experience are actually okay. No, actually, sobrang interesting yung mga sinabi nila. No? And I, for one, would definitely agree with what they said. But let me share with you my 3 thoughts about it. So the first thing is, of course, build. In my humble opinion, when buying a smartphone, do not equate the size of the camera bump with the camera performance of the phone. It does not always follow suit. However, the reason why smartphone brands are sort of like forced to come up with a smartphone with very thick camera bump is because of the size of the sensor. Take for example the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra. This one has a 3mm na camera bump and it's a huge step up from the previous generation. But this one naman offers up to 100 times zoom na telephoto camera. Now, if we go to a different smartphone, this can go up to 100 times zoom, but the camera bump is significantly lower at 2.25mm. Why is that? Magkaiba sila ng sensor. This one is using a Leica powered sensor while this one is using a different one. Now, ano yung exchange? No? Ano yung pinagpapalit mo dito? If you're gonna ask me in our previous performance or camera performance comparison, this one actually, in a way, was a little better than the Galaxy S20 Ultra in terms of color saturation, in terms of zooming capability. But this one, it's better in terms of wide angle shots. It's better as well in 2x zoom and 3x zoom. And apart from that, this one also has a better battery life compared to the Huawei P40 Pro Plus. At the end of the day, again, the reason why it has extra thicker bump is because of the technology or the sensors that these phones actually have. But some smartphone companies attack differently when it comes to design and execution. Kagaya na lang halimbawa ni Realme X3 na super zoom, hindi ganun kakapal yung kanyang camera bump, pero it can go toe-to-toe with the Huawei P40 Pro. Pero syempre, when it comes to the zooming capability, it will be hindi siya matching yung kanyang performance kapag kinumpara natin siya sa P40 Pro Plus at saka even sa Galaxy S20 Ultra. It's not going to be a fair comparison. But what's good about this is that this smartphone can present to consumers a very capable camera performance without sacrificing design quality. Also, for those of you who don't like the camera bump, ang ganda ng ginawa ni Realme dito. Now, the second thing I would like to talk about is the cost and benefit ratio. Kanina pinag-usapan natin yan, no? At I think dito papasok yung ginawa ni Asus with their ROG Phone 2. And while ROG Phone 3 is already up there, malapit na siya lumabas, no? I don't know when. Pero ito, wala talaga siyang camera bump. And I would actually agree with what Kevin said, no? At the end of the day, it would depend on the cost, it would depend on the benefit, it would depend on the market actually this phone is geared towards too. Some people would still go with phones with camera bumps because they don't care about the bumps. They don't care about it because it serves the purpose of being a really good camera smartphone. For example, the Huawei P40 Pro Plus and also the X3 Super Zoom. At isama mo na rin dito si Vivo V90 Neo na manipis din yung kanyang camera bump at a fraction of the price of the P40 Pro Plus. Pero it is worth noting with what Asus did. So, ang ginawa nila dito is, sige, lagay natin yung battery na gusto nila. We get about 6,000 mAh battery with this smartphone. And let's give them the option of putting a case if they want to for added flair. But let's maintain whatever we have with the Asus Zenfone 6 camera. Ilagay natin dito sa ROG Phone 2. And you get yourself now a beautifully made smartphone. Yes, it's thick, but it resonates for me. It is perfect for me as someone who plays the game. Imagine mo nga naman, and I would agree with Kevin, imagine mo kung merong camera bump and ergonomically, it's not going to be very pleasing for the user. For me, the user, the gamer. Okay, so again, cost and benefit, the ratio, medyo may presyo, 49,999 ata, no? As far as I remember. You could go lower than that. And also there is 10-cent edition, which is definitely way lower than the one on the flagship, na international edition. But at the end of the day, it all depends on who the phone is positioned to and how much they're willing to pay for it. Last but not the least is technology limitation. Wala pa naman kasi na technology that shrinks the sizes of lens further to the point na mawawala na yung camera bump. And this is actually a call for companies to innovate further and think of ways to improve the overall user experience that we all have. But then again, right now we have to consider the three things that I mentioned, and I hope you guys would think about it as well and consider them when looking at smartphones. And for those of you who don't like the bump, then that means that phone may not be for you. So you may want to check out other options. If it gets in the way of your user experience, then don't get the phone. Okay. There's a rumor that the Note 20, the upcoming Note 20 series, would have the same camera bump compared to the S20 series. So if you think that, yeah, you like the benefits, but you don't like the camera bump, you have to weigh, at the end of the day, you have to weigh your priorities. Do you get it because of the features, or you get it because of the camera, or you get it because it doesn't have much thickness in terms of the camera bump? So it's all up to you at the end of the day. So yeah, the camera bump is here to stay, and it's up to the companies to innovate further in order for them to serve the preference of a lot of consumers in terms of user experience. That's it, guys. Hope you learned a few things or two in this video. At gusto ko malaman din from you kung ano ang thoughts ninyo about our today's discussion, and I would love to know in the comment section down below. Thank you guys for watching. This has been Gian of GadgetPilipinas.net. I'll catch you guys in the next video.